It appears to be the end of Joe Biden. His campaign, I think we're looking at the end of it. He said yesterday that he would drop out if he had a medical condition, he would consider resigning. And now we're hearing that he's got COVID. Following the COVID diagnosis, videos are coming out showing him struggle to walk downstairs, and he can't even get into his car. Now, I have to wonder about conspiracy theories, especially with the Trump assassination attempt on Saturday. The question is always, what is meant to be? And what I mean by that is not what is design plan, but what was the intention of the actions, and what are the intentions here? As Alex Jones likes to say, qui bono, who benefits? So I look at the corporate press now, solemnly running these stories where they say, oh, look at Joe, he can't walk, he's having a hard time. Why are they doing it? They defended Joe Biden relentlessly up until the debate. Why? As soon as the debate happened, all of a sudden it was like, switch was flicked, Biden, get out. They had to have known Joe Biden wasn't going to be able to handle this debate in the first place. We all did. It's not like they weren't watching the same clips. They were just lying about them. It's not like they thought Joe Biden's polling would be fine after the debate. I mean, come on. So what is really going on? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we are all just pawns and puppets in a greater scheme, and there's a conspiracy wrapped in a conspiracy wrapped in a conspiracy. And the real conspiracy is that all of this is intended to make Donald Trump a popular president and rally everyone around the American flag. Hoorah! No, I don't think that's the case. I wish it were that simple and this country was actually unified under some kind of control. But if that were the case, then there wouldn't be any problems with what happened on Saturday. They would have wrapped up that story rather easily instead of having a bunch of panic, disarray. No, it's fairly obvious that whatever the intention was with Saturday, something went wrong. I wonder if it's just that Donald Trump was not supposed to tilt his head forward. Well, we got a bunch of stories this morning on this, the fourth day of the RNC convention. We're here in Milwaukee. I don't know if you can hear the echo at all, but we're in a conference room. We're doing a live show tonight for Timcast IRL, where y'all will be sitting in the audience hanging out with us. Mike Lindell will be here, Luke Rutkowski, Hannah Claire Brimelow, Libby Emmons, and I believe we also have Taylor Hansen. I want to make sure I'm 100%. I'd say 100%. Taylor will be here. We're really excited because, of course, he's been covering on the ground the protests, and he can tell us a lot of what these people are saying following the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. But we'll do this. We're going to jump into this story about Joe Biden and his cognitive decline, his COVID diagnosis, he's saying he would resign with if he had a medical condition, he would consider it. And now you've got Schiff and Schumer, top Democrats, saying it's time to go. We got more information. That financial firm that took out 12 million short put options, shorting Donald Trump stock the day before. So there's some updates. They say it wasn't the day before; it was June 30th, and they said it was a filing error. We only have 1,200 shorts, not 12 million. That's weird. Seems like whatever was supposed to happen on that day did not happen, and DJT stock is surging. So we'll talk about that, plus the polls, my friends, the polls. Swing state polls are out, and Donald Trump is up 5 to 7 points. This is what we were expecting to see. We'll see if it reaches the entirety of the country. I think the assassination attempt on Trump is going to play an outsized role in popularity and polling. And, of course, we do have another story. Time Magazine has changed their cover. Yep. Time Magazine announced, like a day or two ago, the picture of Trump with his fist in the air. That was their cover story. And they just put out a new tweet saying, the new cover. And it's no longer that image of Trump. Why? Yesterday, we covered the story. An editor said, don't show the truth. It helps Donald Trump. And this is the game they are playing. Whatever it is the plan was for I don't even know. Certainly, it seems to have failed. Before we jump into the first story, my friends, head over to Timcast.com. Click join us to become a member and support our work directly as a member. At Timcast.com, you get access to our Discord server where you can hang out with like-minded individuals and also, argue with people who are probably not like-minded because not everybody agrees on everything. You'll get to chat, hang out. As a member of the Discord, you can submit questions and actually call into the Timcast IRL members-only call-in show Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. So that will be tonight, which will be a mix of audience Q&A as well as we may only have a couple members-only questions. because we're going to be doing audience Q&A for the most part. No, I think we should be able to get in 4. We usually get in 4 callers. I think the whole thing is just going to be live audience Q&A. So we're excited for that. Become a member. Support our work. As a member, you are what make this whole thing possible. You are why we are here in Milwaukee, able to hang out with these individuals and have these shows, and we really do appreciate it. And for those that are wondering why we're here, well, we're doing a live show with 85 seats, so we're not within the security perimeter. It wouldn't have been possible. And we go to the convention. We're hanging out at the convention. We went down there. I had a cheeseburger. It was fantastic. And the people from the convention, it's easier for them to come here. And I think it just works out for everybody who's in town and wants to watch the show live. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com like I said. But let's start with this first story. Biden walks slowly off Air Force One, appears to get assistance into car after COVID diagnosis. Yes. Biden now being receptive about possibility of giving up 2024 re-election campaign. New report. Let's start with this. Here's the video. Fragile-looking Joe Biden struggling to walk downstairs. It's not even the worst we've seen, to be completely honest. Look how slow he's going. This is wild. Just 2 steps, pause, 2 steps, pause. Joe Biden walking down the stairs in this video is not the worst we have ever seen him. But for some reason, this is the narrative that's taking over. Oh, hold on. We got more. Take a look at this. Justin Hart says, OMG, Biden can't even get into the car.
When he got down there at the base of the stairs there, he was asked questions by reporters. He told them, I am doing well. He gave them a thumbs up. He is now going to be isolating at his beach house. And we did note he wasn't wearing a mask there when he came down the stairs. But It does appear once he gets in the car that he puts that mask on. David.
Puts the mask on. It appears that he might be getting a little help just getting into the car there. Hard to make out through the rain what exactly is going on there. But it does look like certainly that the president's feeling the effects of early in the stages of COVID, and many of us have been there. So we do wish him a speedy recovery. John Carl, you're reporting earlier on World News Tonight, getting some pickup tonight across several news outlets. You reported on this meeting that Chuck Schumer had with President Biden. This was Saturday, and it was not long before
when he got down.
Well, there it is. I don't know if I have any. Yeah, we've got one more for you. Here you go.
I know you say, Joe, you may not have a Congress. Well, guess what? You all told me I couldn't pass the Inflation Reduction Act. You all told me I couldn't face it. Anyway, we did it.
You all told me I couldn't basically. Anyway, we did it.
We're going to bring rents down, as I said. We're going to build 2 million affordable homes. And cap rent increases of 5% a year so corporate landlords can't. God. Anyway. I don't want to get going.
Jeez.
I'm going to get very upset.
So in this tweet, A.G. Hamilton says, this is from Biden's speech to the NAACP. He loses track of what he's saying constantly. Asking people to ignore what's right in front of them is absurd. You know, I can understand where we're at right now. They want Joe Biden to resign. I predicted that he would not be the candidate. I outright said this in November. I was like, he's not going to be the candidate. I'm saying it firmly. There's just no way this happens. And then after March, I was like, I don't know how they swap him out. I have no idea what's going on. But of course, my general theory in all of this is that the deep state's broken. They have been splintered and scattered into the wind. They can no longer maintain the machine. They are failing to even keep a single strand together. And it is painfully obvious to all of us that whatever the plan is no longer exists. There's probably only a few people left, I guess. Now, wouldn't it be funny, though, if the actual conspiracy theory was that is a part of the conspiracy to make us think, they're hiding in the shadows, making it look like they're weak, but they're going to spring up at any moment. No, I think wealth lasts 3 generations, and I think that the grandchildren of those who created the liberal economic order have no capability to maintain it, which is why it is Joe Biden who is president and not someone younger. They have no idea what they're doing, and it's all falling apart around them. Biden's now being receptive of the possibility of giving up the 2024 re-election campaign, according to this report. Well, let me tell you. You know what I think? And I'm not the only one who thinks this. We had this conversation last night. Viva Fry, Barnes, Riley Gaines, Luke Kowski, Hannah Claire Bermela. Viva was basically saying, this is how they get him out. And I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, so I'll be careful here. But the insinuation, I don't know if it was from Viva, is that COVID will take the life of Joe Biden. That's the prediction. Well, there's two kinds of predictions here. The first is the political prediction that it is advantageous to the machine and part of their plan that Joe Biden lose his life to COVID. It's a bit bold. I'll say it this way, as mainstream delicate as possible. An 81-year-old man who contracts COVID has a high chance of mortality. So I tell you this, my friends, we pray for Joe Biden's quick recovery. I genuinely mean it. The future that I wish for Joe Biden is that he is sitting in a rocking chair with his grandchildren. He's on the porch. They're playing in the grass. Actually, I think his grandchildren are like adults or whatever. So his great-grandchildren or something. I don't know. He's with his family and they're enjoying crisp rice squares and tang. And just pure familial bliss. He's hanging out with his family. That's what I want for him. I don't like this idea of how revolutions go. And I don't like the idea of No. We want to break the cycle. We don't want the pain and suffering. That's what I'll say. So Joe Biden can retire. He can leave. Democrats can writhe with no candidate. Donald Trump can get elected. We can get a good AG, a good DOJ. We can actually solve some of the problems that we're facing in this country. And maybe then things will seem to align more properly and we can focus on what the future of this country is going to be. Because right now, especially over the past 30 years, but in truth, over the past several generations, we've increasingly seen degeneracy and a lack of moral standing, but also a lack of vision. Where's the vision of this nation? What is our great plan? What is the purpose of the United States of America? Is it so that people can sit around on their lounge chairs, put their feet up and eat chicken wings and watch sports? A little bit, but that's not the country I want to live in. No, the country I live in is one of big dreams. It's the one of conquering the moon and Mars. It's the one of advancing humanity and technology and developing new ways to understand reality and the universe. It is to better map out existence and spread humanity far and wide. In the great traditions, we saw brave men and women looking for a better life. They left Europe. It was overcrowded. There was conflict. And they said, I would rather risk dying on a ship 3 months at sea, land on barren shores and risk dying in the winter than stay here in Europe for whatever reason. There were brave men and women who said, we will find a new way of life somewhere else. Now, I got to tell you, my friends, it's very easy. Oh, it is. It's very easy to leave Europe and come to North America where there are fields and trees and food and fish. The same can't be said for Mars, the moon, or otherwise. And this is why it is with increasing difficulty that we conquer new lands. We come to the United States, we come to America, we build civilization, and I believe that we should, as a nation, have a national vision. What does that really mean? I'm not saying that anyone should have to do anything. I'm saying that we should focus on a cultural endeavor. The space race was fantastic. A mission for people to grow up and admire. Elon Musk is working on that, getting to Mars. I want to see this country have a big focus where people are proud of what we do as a people together. What we do now is what? International expansion under a cloak and dagger? I mean, why would I care about any of that? And this is what the legacy of America has become. A global order of military-industrial complex tyrants lying to the American people, using their children as cannon fodder to expand its borders and start wars and cause problems. So no, I'm not a fan of any of that. If Joe Biden wants to resign, so be it. He is now receptive about the possibility of giving up his 2024 re-election campaign. He's receptive. They say the 81-year-old president who tested positive for COVID-19 Wednesday has so far been adamant that he will remain in the race for the White House, despite repeated calls from Democrats for him to step aside in the wake of his train wreck debate 3 weeks ago. He's being receptive, not as defiant as he is publicly. He's gone from saying Kamala can't win to, do you think Kamala can win? Kamala can't win, but that's an aside. It's still unclear where he's going to land, but he seems to be listening. The official added that Biden's conversations about his future are still continuing in private with those on the Hill. The Biden campaign, however, dismissed the claim he was rethinking his presidency. I don't understand where we're at. I don't understand how you have an intelligence apparatus, a deep state machine, which we do, and they are unable to make Biden step aside. I'd like to believe that we are dealing with the utmost of incompetence, but it's hard for me to believe because of the competence that I see every day in the Timcast team. You know, I mentioned this the other day on IRL. Anyone who is sitting at these tables, we have 6 seats, and anyone watching this show could provide better advice to the deep state on how to handle their endeavors. So certainly they must not be this bad at their jobs. And then you get into the deep conspiracy. The deep conspiracy. All right. The conspiracy right now is that there was an official, at some point, some official lever pulled to allow the attack on Donald Trump. That's the minimum conspiracy, right? Because you can get crazy with it and say that they're all in on it or something, which is really hard to believe. Like all the Secret Service agents. No, I don't believe that for a second. But then the deep conspiracy is that it's not Biden who planned it. It's not Trump who planned it. The left is saying Donald Trump staged the assassination attempt on himself for no, it's both. This is deep conspiracy territory. It's all part of the plan. Luke Rudkowski, anti-government anarchist, right? Now saying he's going to vote for Donald Trump. I was like, they got Luke to say, go America and wave the American flag and vote for Trump. And Trump was like, Luke was like, they did a good job. Yeah, if the real deep conspiracy was how do we unify this country, certainly this is how you do it, I guess. Masterfully played. But in all honesty, I just don't actually think that's true. Because I think most conspiracies require too many coincidences for them to be practical. And in the instance of Donald Trump and the assassination attempt, it's more likely that a single individual had a let it happen on purpose scenario as opposed to everybody knew what was going to happen. So why didn't they secure the roof? This is the first thing I said. I said someone in an official capacity, logistics or otherwise, likely just did not assign someone to that location. We're learning that's true now. Now, motive is a question. Was it because they hate Donald Trump and wanted this to happen, or was it because they're incompetent? I can't see incompetence here being reasonable, considering Secret Service. Let's just put it this way. Secret Service always would secure a sniper vantage point, this obvious. They would break line of sight, as Dan Bongino pointed out, and they would hold Donald Trump or whoever they were protecting in the holding room until they cleared the threat. We now know that they identified the threat 10 minutes prior. Someone in an official capacity to high enough level was holding something back. Now, the rumor is snipers were told to, stand down. Or I don't know about that. You don't need to do that. You only need a lack of communication. Some suggested that can't be the case because they're all communicating with each other. But if they're awaiting orders and someone in an official logistical capacity is intentionally fumbling this, that actually makes the least amount of assumptions. Because the idea of fractal wrongness, as Viva described it, that's an absurdity. That they were wrong so many times that all of these things were allowed to happen. No, what makes the most sense actually is that someone in a logistical capacity was just like, wait for my order, we're taking care of this. And everyone said, okay. Nobody was in on it. Nobody knew it was happening. And now Secret Service is saying it was one big error. The roof was sloped, so we didn't have anybody up there. That doesn't explain why you didn't have a sign to break the line of sight. That doesn't explain why you didn't hold Donald Trump for 10 minutes when you knew there was a threat. Trump's late all the time. Nobody cares. None of it adds up. But anyway, more to the point, back to Joe Biden. The question then becomes, I suppose, and look at this, Biden now receptive to the possibility. Headline on the headline I'm already reading. Is this the plan? So I suppose my question then becomes, is Joe Biden refusing to bow out of the race? And because he's refusing, they needed to give him COVID or something? Or is COVID the way they're going to pull him out of the race? Now, Viva, I think it was Viva who said that he thinks that COVID could take his life. It's possible he's 81. I don't think you need that for a resignation. I think Joe Biden says, I'm struggling to recover from COVID. It's weighed me down to the point where I don't think I can continue. And for this reason, I will heed the advice of the leaders in the Democratic Party, and I will step down just in time for the convention, just in time for Democrats to come in with their secret ballot and select who they want their nominee to be without any of the rabble of the public getting a say in the matter. And thus we will have moved towards fascism. Yo, man, it's really scary to think about what would have happened if Donald Trump actually did lose his life on that Saturday. I don't think people realize, with all the pieces that are lining up, just how bad it would have been. When they're claiming, oh, we just learned Iran was planning something on Trump. Could it have been that the deep state plot? And it doesn't mean everybody's involved. It could be one guy, one bad guy. That's all you need. Not a conspiracy. Conspiracy means more than one. No, literally one bad guy. Donald Trump were to have lost his life on that day. They blame Iran. They say, here's the evidence of an Iranian attack on Trump. It's retaliation over, I don't know, any one of the conflicts, Israel, the assassination of, what was the guy's name? Was it Soleimani? I think I'm getting that one wrong, actually. Was it? They could say it's just retaliation. They could say it's in response to U.S. support for Israel. They can say it's actions in the Red Sea, Yemen, Saudi Arabia. They could make up 1,000,001 reasons why Iran would do this. Iran would probably deny it. And then they declare war. Oh, Congress would probably for the first time declare war. And they would come to each and every one of us and they would say, you have to support this action. And it's fascinating, isn't it? Because we've all stated this. Well, not we all, but many commentators, myself included. If a foreign adversary assassinates your president, be it Trump or Biden or anybody, you must retaliate. You have to, as a nation, declare war. You do not have a country if you allow your leader to be assassinated by your enemy. That's the terrifying reality. Now, if Joe Biden were to lose his life because of Iran, Trump supporters likely wouldn't rally around war. They'd say absolutely not. Yeah, even with the express sentiment of we can't allow people, you'd get a lot of the rhino types. You'd get a lot of the DeSantis Republicans probably saying we have to do this, but the populists are going to say no war. And so that's why they target Donald Trump, because everyone else would love to get on board with war. The Democrats they love war. The uniparty Republicans love war. MAGA doesn't. So MAGA needs the catalyst. And that is Donald Trump loses his life. They blame Iran. Here's a scarier thing. I'm willing to bet that should that have happened, they would have locked down social media. They would have said that we're under attack. They would have implemented insane draconian security lockdowns. They'd shut down shows like mine, like Crowder. We'd be under heavy restrictions because, well, actually, let me elaborate. What would happen is that YouTube would immediately come out and say, due to the unprecedented threat facing this country, we're going to be restricting videos that center around certain topics. And they would say things like, anyone denying that Iran did this is misinformation. You know for a fact they would do it. YouTube would in 2 seconds put out a rule saying that if you question whether or not it was Iran, you will be banned because that's Iranian disinformation. And then the only media that would exist is Iran attacked the United States and killed the front runner for the presidency. Now, where we are now is that Donald Trump, but by the grace of God, tilted his head a little bit. Tilted his head just a wee bit and survived. And now everything seems to be bedlam for the Democrats. Trump won. The global economic order is facing the end. Democrats can't bring anyone in fast enough. Guys, if Donald Trump lost his life that day, the stars would have aligned for the deep state. And that's why I can't believe these leftist conspiracy theories that Donald Trump staged this. Because this is panic for the intelligence agencies. Now, maybe the intelligence agencies aren't really involved. I don't know. What I'm saying is, if Donald Trump lost his life on that day, Nikki Haley becomes the nominee for the Republican Party. They then get two establishment shill candidates. You have no choice. They've bypassed the populist vote system. Think about it. With Bernie Sanders, they faced two primary elections where he nearly won. And so now they're saying, let's just have a selection process so that none of these grassroots activists can interfere. With Donald Trump, they could not stop him, not once. Truth be told, they still can't stop him. Yikes. But if Donald Trump were to have lost his life on that day, Nikki Haley, with the second most amount of delegates, and basically the last person running, would step up on stage and say, I may not be your first choice, but I have delegates pledged to me. And so for these reasons, I ask you all to pledge your for you delegates to pledge your vote for me as the nominee. And there's nobody else. I mean, DeSantis is not going to jump up and be like, wait, I'm here too. Nikki Haley. The uniparty establishment then gets your choice between Biden and Haley, and both are going to be warmongers. Nikki Haley then says, my first action will be to retaliate against the enemies who took the life of our president, Donald Trump. And the Trump supporters would have been outraged. They would have censored any and all information pertaining to what may have happened that day. They would have claimed it was Iran. Media would not allow you to talk about it. YouTube wouldn't allow you to talk about it. You'd be a conspiracy theorist. Your videos would be taken down. But then, Donald Trump tilted his head. And what should have gone through the side of his head went past his ear. Now what? J.D. Vance is next in line. Joe Biden got to drop out, got COVID. They got no plan. I was thinking about this last night, just how actually terrifying it is when you think about how close we got to oblivion in this country. I genuinely believe that if Trump were to have been taken on that day in this way, with this timing, I mean, we're talking about Democrat authoritarian crackdown. I shouldn't say Democrat, I should say uniparty establishment. Republican establishment, Democrat establishment would unify. You would see executive orders. You would see heavy policing. They'd go 9/11 times 10. Luke Rudkowski was saying they'd say, this is it. You got to take the guns away. They would use this as a 9/11 style crackdown moment. But Trump tilted his head. We came so close. And now what are we looking at? Well, Trump's polling is surging and his betting odds are surging. The prediction market, the simulations of 538 still predict a Joe Biden victory. So I need only say this. Donald Trump took a bullet for you. You can take the time to go out and vote for him. We should see record voter turnout. You know, I got to be honest. Riley Moore is my member of Congress. He won the primary. He's going to win in November. Donald Trump is going to win. And I was thinking to myself, like, the only thing that really matters for me in my vote is my local elections. So, I don't know, that's not really that important. But now, especially after this, you know, people make the joke, and they're half joking, that people would crawl over broken glass to vote for Donald Trump. A lot of people would. It's a figure of speech. I mean, I don't know that literally anybody would crawl on broken glass back then. I got to be honest. If at this point, Donald Trump takes a bullet, but it's not just him. It's his wife, his kids, his extended family show up for work that Monday. I don't know if I'd crawl over broken glass. What I would say is I would navigate through broken glass to vote for Donald Trump. And what I mean is I think it's silly to be like, you have to crawl on shards of broken glass to vote for a guy. If there was broken glass all over the floor and the polling, a machine or whatever, a box, preferably paper ballots, was at the end of the room, I would find my way tiptoeing as carefully as I could through broken glass, right? But I mean this in all seriousness because it's an absurd scenario. But a lot of people were saying that as a figure of speech, like I would do anything to vote for this man. After Saturday, I genuinely think most people really do mean it now. And for me, I cannot wait for Election Day just so that we can see that popular vote number. West Virginia is going Donald Trump and Riley Moore. Senate and governor, it's just going to be interesting. So, we'll see. But I think now more than ever, no matter where you are, if you live in California, you all better go vote. Because I'll tell you this. If Donald Trump can take a bullet for you, you can take the time to go and vote for him. And it was just in the ear. But by the grace of God, he survived this. And if every single Republican that lived in AOC's district voted in the election this November, AOC would lose. She only gets around 150,000 votes in a district of 775,000. There are about 150 to 200,000 Republicans in this district. Now, you may be saying, that's a lot, Tim. It is. But it's 775,000, and the polling shows that it's actually about 550K Democrats. They just don't turn out in large numbers, and neither do Republicans. But if every single Trump supporter in New York, in this district, went out and voted, they would beat AOC. No question. None whatsoever. The question will be, is this going to be a mobilizing moment where people actually go out and vote for Donald Trump en masse? Don't know. We all thought there was going to be a big red wave. We thought Trump was going to win in 2020, but we did not account for shadow campaign. I didn't expect Democrats to pull in Zuckerbucks and start doing ballot harvesting. That's atypical. You can't track that stuff. It was a masterful strategy, and it worked for them. And that's a mistake we all made, not paying attention to what was going on. So Joe Biden may be on the verge of dropping out. But this just means you don't know who Trump is up against. At this point, however, failing to take his life has only made him possibly the most popular guy. So I'll wrap up this segment for now. We got a couple more stories to go through, and we'll jump into those. But I'm going to grab some super chats for those that are watching live, and let's see what we've got lined up so far. Adam Schiff and, of course, Chuck Schumer calling for his resignation. But I think we covered that pretty well. I want to talk about this. This is a big story. $1 billion asset manager shorts Trump stock day before assassination attempt. There's a lot to break down in this. So we'll pause here. We'll grab some super chats, and then we'll jump to that segment in just a minute. But we'll see what you guys have to say here in the special Milwaukee live stream. We've been doing this all week. It's been fun. Heron Gaming News says the establishment is trying to generate plausible deniability. Are you referring to Biden leaving the race or Donald Trump in the assassination? Because I think it's fair to say COVID is the easiest exit for Joe Biden. Joe Biden may actually want to leave, but he wants to maintain some dignity. So he's like, guys, I'm not just going to bow out. That shows weakness. It's bad for the Democratic Party. They probably agree and said, okay, we need to find a way for Joe Biden to leave and then go retire. COVID. That's right. He says, look, I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't debate as well as I used to be, but I can get this job done. Now he's got COVID. Now he's going to say, I'm having a hard time recovering for this, which is hindering my capability to campaign. And I think it's better that we don't wait to find out, and I will pass the torch to Kamala Harris. And get this. Apparently behind the scenes, Kamala Harris's team is telling Joe, like, let's go. It's time. You say you're passing the torch. Grease Monkey says, while everyone celebrates Biden being taken off the ballot, I'm worried about their future plans. The DNC is filled with anti-USA communists who will stop at nothing to not have Trump be president. I think we saw that on Saturday. I find it laughable that there are people that still try to maintain this notion that it was a crazy man who got lucky. I'm sorry, that's an absurdity. The Secret Service knew of the threat. This is fact. 10 minutes before Trump went on stage. The Secret Service has a holding room where they say, just wait here, Mr. President. We've got a threat. We're going to assess and then try and remedy. Give us a few minutes. That's normal. It happens all the time. But in this one instance, they're like, you're good to go. Now, there's a viral thread and a lot of people saying, oh, don't be a conspiracy. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I'm not even suggesting a conspiracy happened. This is the stupidest thing. Don't play these games. When people say they question the moon landing, for instance, that's a conspiracy. The idea that all these people got together not to build a rocket, which we have, but to build a sound stage. Now, I don't care if you believe the moon landing is fake or real or whatever. I personally don't think it's all that complicated to go to the moon. When you look at the science of everything and what we do with satellites every day, we used a computer that our average cell phone has more computing power than those rockets did. But I digress. That's a conspiracy. A whole network of people doing this thing. I mean, and that could happen in wartime. The theory that the U.S. staged this to try and beat Russia in the space race to some kind of milestone, that makes sense. Still, guys, I think we landed on the moon because I don't think it's actually that crazy. And people are like, yeah, but what about the radiation? I'm like, I just kind of don't think they care about the people that they launch into space. I don't think it's that difficult. But again, I don't know for sure because the world's a crazy place. Now, in this instance with Donald Trump, I'm not talking about a conspiracy. I'm talking about one logistical officer, one person who didn't conspire with anybody and was just basically running point for communications between the Secret Service, who suffers TDS, and said, they get told on the radio, we got a threat identified. And then he goes, guys, we're all good. You can send Trump out. And the Secret Service agents are like, all right, we got the clear. The question is who was in charge and gave the go ahead despite knowing what was going on? Because the rank and file dudes are thinking they're like, hey, look, someone's telling us where to be and what to do. That's normal. People are saying, like, you had these 4 sniper teams on the roof. Why didn't they do anything? Because they're waiting orders. All it would have taken is one high up with Trump derangement syndrome to be like, oh, what's happening? One high up says, we're assigning everybody to points A, B, C, D, and E. And no one asks about point F because they're not in charge and they don't know the overview. The guys who are on the roof that everyone saw in those videos, they're not asking who's going to be on the other roof. That's not their job. That they're not organizing this. So it doesn't need to be a large conspiracy. Let's read some more. Mike Coyne says, Plan A failed, Plan B, Biden given COVID. Yikes. Joe H. USMC says, I'm a Marine and it's impossible what happens. You're referring to on Saturday. It's an impossibility. It's fractal wrongness. Viva nailed it. The idea that all of these failures just kept piling up is an absurdity. It's an absurd notion. That doesn't mean anyone trained this guy. It doesn't mean this dude is part of MK Ultra. It means that someone, it could be this simple, really. Why now? Because someone in logistics got word there's a suspicious guy with a rangefinder, and he goes, "Hey, John, where are you at? Yeah, get off that roof and come over here real quick. I want to talk to you about something." It could be that simple. One person knowing that they're moving pieces to try and get an outcome. That being said, considering the timing of this, just before the RNC, and when Trump was supposed to be in prison, but actually won, July 11th, Donald Trump was supposed to be sentenced to prison. And he beat it. And no one suspected that the Supreme Court was going to rule that official acts could not be used as evidence. They thought he'd have immunity, but he would get put in prison on this charge and it'd jam up the RNC. And then Trump won. So it may have been a last-minute panicked effort by crazy people. I hate to break it to you guys, the people who don't want to believe it. But we've been looking at, we have this big controversy right now on social media where people are saying things like, it's cancel culture. Don't get the Home Depot lady fired. I don't care about that. We had that debate. Let me tell you this. Libs of TikTok is unearthing, and not just libs, but other people, dozens, hundreds of individuals who are wishing that the shooter succeeded. So the questions I asked yesterday on IRL was first, does Trump derangement syndrome exist? The answer to that is, of course, yes. The second question is, are there people suffering from TDS who wish Donald Trump would have died? The answer is yes. We have evidence of both of these scenarios. And the next question is simple. Is it possible that someone in federal law enforcement suffers from this affliction? Of course. Look at Ukraine Gate. Look at Russia Gate. We know that there are people in government and FBI agents. So if you know for a fact that people are going online calling for and wishing for the death of the president in mass, and it's terrifying, the idea that there's not one single federal agent who feels the same way is an absurdity, and it defies logic. Whether we get any answers on this, that I don't know. Let's read some more super chats before we get into the shorts. So we talked about it last night, but we got some updates here. Slick says, Tim, I'm seeing posts on X reporting that the shooter identified as trans. Have you heard anything to prove or disprove this? I have not. Joe H. USMC says, I'm half Japanese, half white. That's good old diversity right there, isn't it? I'm only a little Japanese, more Korean or so. But I love J.D. Vance's speech last night. It was absolutely fantastic. He was talking about how his wife is Southeast Asian descent, and she's brought great things. Her family, they've enriched this country, and he is correct. I love it, man. I love this direction of the GOP as of late. I don't like the establishment uniparty. I like how they booed Mitch McConnell. I like how Kevin McCarthy is not the speaker, and Matt Gaetz insulted him on CNN. And I like J.D. Vance saying, we believe in freedom, and we have the real vision of what a country can be. It was a great speech. He talked about how when he told his wife he was marrying her, he said that I come with a cemetery plot in Kentucky or something like that. Tradition, values, ties to our roots, but also recognizing, my friends, I'm a fan of immigration. Absolutely. I want to see the U.S. brain drain as many countries as possible. I want the U.S. to become the shining city on the hill that we were promised, where all of the best and brightest and smartest people live here. I want a future like Star Trek, where strong men make good decisions, hard decisions. That's the stuff that's what's inspired me as a kid. And so I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, up, down, left, right, Muslim, whatever. The point is that you understand being a reasoned person, having the mental fortitude of, say, Marcus Aurelius and the great men who came before us. I think J.D. Vance did swimmingly. I am seeing some very interesting comparisons to Barack Obama with J.D. Vance. So, look, I always have some kind of guard or barrier up. You never know when you're being played, and even the smartest person can be manipulated. It's entirely possible that we are witnessing a grand design, and the deep state is actually not failing. They're succeeding in getting all of us to rally and say USA, USA, USA. Well, that doesn't matter that much to me because I already love the USA and I want to see it function properly. So if the end result was a deep conspiracy to make America great again, okay, I guess I'm on board. Let's secure our borders. Let's bring our jobs back. Let's get people to rally around what this country really stands for and what it's supposed to be, not the crackpot woke garbage that attacks people for no reason, gets them fired for their jobs for no reason. Let's talk about how we can make the lives of Americans better. And if it was true that there's a grand conspiracy to make that happen, sign me up, I guess. I mean, I'm not a fan of deception, manipulation. I think people should be given the truth so that a decentralized network can find the best outcomes through merit. But I'm being somewhat facetious when I say if the end result of whatever the plot is, accidentally or otherwise, is that we get functioning borders, we get a functioning immigration system, we get a sound currency, we get a higher standard of living, I don't see the downside. Ending the wars, pulling our troops back, all of this sounds utterly fantastic. And I hope that's what happens. I hope so. Cold Steel says, did you see the Destiny interview on Piers Morgan? Not denouncing the shooter of Trump's assassination attempt. How do we reach out to people like this and promote unity? Well, old Destiny, he's exactly what I've talked about with these manipulators, these liars, these cheaters. Give you an example. Destiny is upset that I said he's blacklisted from Timcast. I said I would not have him on the show. And so he runs this clip and he says something to the effect that it's hypocritical because we've had on Laura Loomer who called for the death penalty. And I'm like, we pulled that show off the air. And then people are like, Dave Rubin said he hoped that AOC joined in Bushnell's protest. And I'm like, that was a stupid thing to say. Like, I don't care who you are. You can be Dave. I like Dave, but Dave says something dumb. I'll say it's dumb. That's fine. And Destiny's my point was this. Destiny was saying something to the effect of, he said way worse things before, and other people on the show have said worse things. Destiny got banned from Kick because of what he said. My point stands, right? My point was, I don't have a personal beef with Destiny. That's not why he can't come on the show. He can't come on the show because he glorified murder, death, and that gets you banned instantly. Personally, I don't want that. That is not part of the conversation I think we should be having. And I think there is an element of being responsible for what you decide to have in your conversations. That being said, I have no problem pointing out that Destiny has said these things. These are the opinions he holds. And I absolutely would have that conversation with him where appropriate. I think, however, he has excised himself from polite society by mocking a dead firefighter. And I'm just like, we know what he said. We now have the option to say, thank you for your speech. Your free speech is yours, and we choose not to associate with you. I think that's totally fair. It's my show. I don't think he should be permanently banned across the board. I do think it's fair to say that, when Elon Musk took down some of his posts for glorifying violence, I have no problem with that whatsoever. He's advocating for, justifying, and glorifying the murder of a firefighter. That being said, he got banned from Kick. If we brought him on Timcast IRL, the show would just get taken down. When Laura Loomer came on and she said the penalty for treason is death, we took the show down. It is against the rules on YouTube to do these things. And additionally, I'm not a fan of that, of pushing the rhetoric in that direction. However, there's a big difference between saying, should you have been found guilty of a crime with a codified penalty in U.S. law, which is death? That was Laura Loomer's point. She didn't even say as much as Destiny did. And I'm still not a fan of any of it. Not a fan of any of it. We'll grab a couple more super chats because I really want to read this next segment. And I press that record button, of course, when I do. Red Muskrat says, what if they're just trying to lull Republicans to a false sense of security to lower voter turnout? All the conservative channels are already declaring victory. Just a thought. I agree. And that's why there is something that should be said, and you should say to everyone you know. And that is, Donald Trump took a bullet for you. You can go and take the time to vote for him. We are looking now at the greatest rallying cry. Donald Trump tilting his head forward a couple degrees. When you hear that rallying cry, you don't say retreat. You don't sit down and crack open a picnic basket. You yell charge. You take the battlefield. And right now, politically, Donald Trump, I can't believe they put him in harm's way this way. And first thing Monday, he's back at work. How could you not want to go out and cast a vote for that guy? We need to make sure everybody maintains that passion and is willing to not forget what happened this day, Saturday, and just take the time and go cast that vote. I hope, I have a little fear that people are going to be like, after that, we won. What's the point? That shouldn't be the sentiment. The sentiment should be, this man just took a bullet for you. You should all be effectively charging figuratively. You go out, you put on your Sunday's best, you stand proudly at that ballot box, and you, Donald Trump. The least you can do. The least everyone can do. I warn you of this as well. Donald Trump will do things you hate. Donald Trump will make mistakes as president. There is a risk of a bad presidency under Donald Trump because no man is perfect, and the circumstances around any conflict, crisis, policy, there's no guarantee he does the perfect job. I do not think that Donald Trump is your savior. I do not think he's the God emperor. I think that when you cast your vote for him, you accept responsibility that dark days may come. However, in my lifetime, I have not seen a president be marginally good. Donald Trump gave us a net positive presidency for the first time in my lifetime. Understand that there is no perfect leader. There is no perfect system, and it is not Donald Trump. So when I say go out and vote for him, it's not because he's this great hero God emperor. It's not because he got shot. Like, he can't control that. It's that he's dedicated himself to the work, and he's shown us that he can give us marginal victories. For some of you, the things he's done were great victories you were hoping for a long time. For me, the anti-war stuff is paramount, and Donald Trump led the charge on peace agreements. He also increased drone strikes. Bad. But I can understand arguments for why he did it as he was withdrawing U.S. troops. He's hit commando raids in Yemen, working with the Saudis. Humanitarian crisis down there. Bad. Donald Trump tried to bring peace to the Korean Peninsula. Inspirational. The Abraham Accords. He actively tried to do these things. I say this because I know there's going to be a lot of people who may come to regret their decision, but I don't think you should. I think based on the factors that we are looking at right now with Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, Donald Trump gives you no guarantees, and there's never going to be a perfect president, but he is the logical decision right now. That's it. I say this one more time. Don't be zealous. Don't be fervent. Be skeptical. Be discerning. And understand right now, as we stand today, Donald Trump's the logical choice. He's made great personal sacrifice. I respect it. His family, they're hardworking, good people. And we're going to be upset with some of the things he does. But it's the least we can do. The least. And I think we'll see some marginal victories. I think we might see a decent margin of victory for Donald Trump. I mean, both ways, that Donald Trump is going to win with a pretty good amount of votes, but then also Donald Trump will give us some pretty good things in his next term as president. And then we're going to say some things were good and some things were bad. All right, let's jump to the story. Finbold has the report. $1 billion asset manager shorts Trump stock day before assassination attempt. Oh me, oh my. Let me clarify this. The official statement now is $1 billion asset manager files their short paperwork one day before the assassination attempt. It doesn't change too much. It changes a little bit. But let me read this from Finbold. We talked about it last night, but we do have some updates. They write, along with inspiring former President Donald Trump to alter his Republican National Committee speech and judging by the results of the 1984 elections, creating the conditions for a proper red tide in November, the July 13th assassination attempt had a significant impact on the shares of Trump media. Indeed, the stock rapidly surged some 70% pre-market. Wow. On the first trading day following the attack. Although there has been a retracing since then, DJT stock remains higher, currently trading at $36.44 compared to its closing price of $31.25 last Friday. As it turned out, extensive stock market activity targeting DJT also preceded the assassination attempt. Austin Private Wealth LLC, a financial planning company based in Texas, bought put options on as many as 12 million shares of DJT just one day before the attack. Now, hold on. Again, the clarification that we're hearing now, and I don't know how to confirm any of this, but this is what they're saying. The put options were actually held since June 30th, but the filing hits on the 12th. So they file on the 12th, and that's when it comes in. There are many people pointing out when the end of the month comes and we get the latest report on shorts, you may see that many, many more shorts were taken on DJT stock. We just don't know for sure. They say the short position taken by Austin Private Wealth on July 12th was also the largest among those listed, the second biggest being 1.677 million made by Citadel in May. While such a move otherwise may not be particularly suspicious, given that the rocky performance of Trump media makes it a reasonable target for short attempts, both the timing and the scale of the purchase make it stand out. Reportedly, the short position is the largest Austin Private Wealth has ever taken, and the trade represents 6% of total shares and over 16% of the float of the DJT stock. Even without the assassination attempt, the short position would have been interesting as it was open just days before the RNC was to take place. Given that Donald Trump was generally accepted as the Republican nominee, and given President Biden's recent debate and interview performance, it is probable DJT stock would have risen after the nomination was officially announced, even without the attack. Now, I do think it's important to point out, Finbold is not running this line that it was taken on June 30th, like many on the left are. So I have to wonder what is true in this regards. You've got, this is Champagne Joshi. He says, while you are here, remember to give me a follow. Austin Private Wealth amended their filing on 7/16 and removed their put options on TMGT. Now that is fascinating. Another interesting thing about the amendment filed on 7/16 is that it is the only one they have ever had. I searched, and their first filing was on 2/12/2020. They say for decades, if not centuries, the U.S. has been troubled by conspiracies and theories arising from major political and economic events. Various catastrophes have been claimed. Let me just pause and say blah, blah, blah. We get it, dude. The 2001 attacks in particular have some common ground with the attempt, as we know that there were major put options on United Airlines and American Airlines. The July 13th assassination attempt particularly lends itself well to theorizing due to suspicious convergence of events, decisions, and statements. They say how U.S. politicians inadvertently fuel conspiracies. Biden's statement that Trump should be placed in a bullseye was threatening. Other U.S. politicians have also helped fan the flames. We know this. Finally, the fact the U.S. does have a history of government-organized political violence, such as the assassination of Fred Hampton of the Black Panther Party by the FBI, lends further credence to various conspiracy theories. Okay, well, we got an update here. First, let me show you the actual filing right here. This is fintel.io, which my understanding is considered to be a prominent website tracking financial data. Funds shorting Trump media and technology group. And you can see on 7/12, Austin Private Wealth, 12 million shares. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's your update. Matt Cora has the tweet. Statement on incorrect filing with the SEC. The SEC filing, which showed that Austin Private Wealth shorted a large number of shares of Trump Media and Technology Group, DJT, was incorrect. And we immediately amended it as soon as we learned of the error. No client of APW holds or has ever held a put on DJT in the quantity initially reported. The correct holding amount was 12 contracts or 1,200 shares, not 12 million shares, as was filed in error. In submitting the required report for the second quarter of 2024, a multiplier was applied by a third-party vendor that increased the number of shares by a multiple of 10,000 for all options contracts, not just DJT. We did not catch the error before approving the filing. We filed the report on July 12th to reflect our position on June 28th. We amended it on June 16th. We deeply regret this error and the concern it has caused, especially at such a fraught moment in our nation. We are committed to full transparency and maintaining the trust of our clients. As such, we are reviewing our internal procedures and our processes with the third-party vendors that assist with SEC filings to better understand how this happened and avoid similar issues moving forward. I got a question for you. What would have happened if Donald Trump actually did not survive that day? You think this company would be saying, oops, wrong filing? Does it mean they actually held the contracts? Man, I don't know. It really could be as simple as filing error. But isn't it just so weird? Donald Trump tilted his head. Let's line these pieces up. And I'm sorry to say, I don't buy it. I don't know, but I don't buy it. Let's line the pieces up. How about this? 3 hours before the shooting, a man is spotted with a rangefinder, and they identify him as suspicious. An hour before the shooting, they once again identify the man with a rangefinder, notifying that he is suspicious. That's law enforcement seeing it twice. 26 minutes before the shooting, law enforcement photographs him, saying, here's a guy with a rangefinder moving around and scouting out locations each and every step of the way. 10 minutes before the shooting, Secret Service identified this man not as suspicious, but as a threat. Donald Trump was then allowed to take the stage. Very, very abnormal. This man, 2 minutes out, is on a rooftop, the only rooftop in the area, or I should, it's not fair. It's a large building structure and there's some buildings, but externally, the only other vantage point, 2 minutes and 1 second. People are screaming. He's on the roof. He's got a gun. Donald Trump is not removed from the stage. Shots are fired, and only by Trump tilting his head forward does the bullet hit his ear and not the side of his head. Interesting. How could all of that have happened? How could the Secret Service have not had security on the rooftop? Secret Service claimed that it was actually local law enforcement that were supposed to be securing that rooftop. Local law enforcement says that's not true. We do traffic control. We had nothing to do with securing sniper vantage points. Multiple police officers confronted this guy. Not once did anyone pull Trump off that stage. So you mean to tell me, coincidence? Negligence? That's fractal wrongness. That's an impossibility. At any moment, they could have said, pull Trump off the stage. At any moment, before Trump went on the stage, they could have said, Mr. President, just wait here for a moment. You're going to be late a few minutes. And Trump would say, okay, whatever you guys want to do. To add on top of that, and these aren't the only weird things that happened that day, an incorrect filing for 12 million shares dropped the day before. Now, I can give you some scenarios as to how this happens, but I just got to say, with all of these conspiracies, more to say, with all of these coincidences, I'm supposed to chalk this one up as just another coincidence. The degree of coincidence emerging here is ad absurdum. How is a reasonable person supposed to conclude that all of these crazy accidents just happened? I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. Some of them could have been accidents. I have no idea. But I can tell you this. There is a logical reason why a company would put 12 million shorts on DJT, assuming they actually did. They say they didn't. So I would assume they didn't. I mean, I don't know how you just claim you didn't, unless they're working dirty deals in the background. Why would someone short DJT stock on June 28th? Trump was supposed to be in prison. And if he's in prison, he can't post on Truth. I don't think it's a bad bet to make. I wouldn't make the bet myself. I wouldn't want to bet against Donald Trump like that. I actually hold I think I have 10 shares in DJT, more as it's fun to have. But there's some people probably only care about making money. And they're thinking, look, Donald Trump's going to go to prison. We all think so. His stock is going to go down, whatever his sentence may be. And if he can't post on Truth, Truth is worthless. Short. Or something else. You know, a lot of people do bring up 9/11 and the put options on United Airlines and American, and those have never been effectively answered. We do not know how that happened. So I wonder, how does all that happen? Well, bad news for those that put the short sale on DJT. Trump media stock price surges after assassination attempt seen as boosting Donald Trump's re-election odds. Well, there you have it. Maybe the reason they said, whoopsie, we filed wrong, is because they realize they're about to lose a lot of money. But I don't believe that's true. I don't think you can cut a deal with put options and then after a price surge go, incorrect filing. It seems like all they really did was inform the SEC of their current position. That wouldn't change whatever they actually bought. If they actually bought 12 million and are claiming that was an incorrect filing, whoever made that deal is going to be like, no way, you owe me some money. Well, they certainly owe some money on 1,200, they claim. It's hard to know for sure. But I'm curious, I really, really am, how all of these things can line up so perfectly right before our very eyes. It doesn't make sense, does it? I wish we could see. I suppose we'll never really know. In entertaining the idea of conspiracy theories, I tell you this, the problem with conspiracy theories is you have to choose where you stop. And what I mean by that is that you can take a conspiracy to any direction you want. Let's talk about the moon landing. You can make up a million to one conspiracies, and that's the problem. The people who've decided that the moon landing is fake because the U.S. was trying to upstage the Soviet Union have just opted for what they feel is logical. But you could make up a million and one reasons why the U.S. faked the space race or whether they did or didn't. You could even argue the real conspiracy is we did go to the moon and they put out a false conspiracy that we didn't because they need to create a degree of skepticism because of what they actually discovered on the moon. And they don't want people to have full reign of filing FOIAs. They want people to be distracted with this other story. So they chase the conspiracy in the wrong direction. Basically, they're baiting conspiracy theorists to the wrong story to cover up the real story. And that is they found aliens. You see, I'm kidding, right? But the idea is with this. The left right now is arguing that Donald Trump staged his own assassination attempt, that he's wearing he's got a gel pack in his hat. A blank is fired. He smacks the gel pack and falls down. They intentionally shoot and injure people in the crowd to prove it because they're evil, right? It's a conspiracy theory. It's evil. Actually, I got to point this out. The left doesn't seem to have any answers as to how people actually died that day. Like Corey Compertor lost his life. It's not funny. And several people were seriously injured. But the left seems to omit that fact when they're like, where'd the bullets go? That was one of the conspiracy threads they posted. Where'd the bullets go? I'm like, into innocent bystanders. Like, dude, chill. But the problem with conspiracy theories is that could the conspiracy, could it be true? Like, how is it the Secret Service allowed Donald Trump to go on stage? You could very easily argue Trump was in on it too. However, I don't think that makes any logical sense. So for me, the conspiracy theory just walks down the path of what is the most logical, and we stop where we can't come to conclusions. That is to say, the leftist conspiracy theory about Donald Trump being involved makes no sense because of the chaos that ensued and the lack of a proper explanation. If the conspiracy went all according to plan, they would have easily have had contingencies to explain how these things would have happened. Instead, they're like, the roof was sloped and none of that makes sense. Unless the idea was you want to scapegoat the Secret Service or something. No, none of that makes sense. They could have, if the idea was for Trump to fake an assassination attempt, they could have done something. They could have easily have had something lined up as to how it went down. So it's an absurdity. But I point out this. Thinking about the most extreme, deep level conspiracy. In the year 2008, Ron Paul leads the Love Revolution. And he gets all of these people, anti-establishment people, anti-government people. 9/11 was an inside job people. And they're all rallying against the government. And they're trying to vote for a populist candidate. They say, worst with the internet, these people are going to vote for populists. So what do? Donald Trump is selected among the elites to be the bad guy for the machine. Democrats and the Uniparty play the heel. Evil bad guys who keep fumbling and bumbling, attacking Donald Trump, but Donald Trump keeps winning. And then you end up with, as I mentioned earlier in the live show, Luke Rudkowski and other libertarians in the Mises Caucus all now saying they will vote for Donald Trump. And a country that was concerned about unity and the American flag and its mission are now all of a sudden cheering for America. Rallying behind Donald Trump, who overcame all the odds to defy the deep state machine. But what if that was the plan the whole time? That's the problem with conspiracies. So I certainly don't think that's true. And I think what we're looking at with the deep state attacks on Donald Trump is you can call it a conspiracy, but they're not theories. And that's the distinction. When you start theorizing and making guesses as to what you think really happened, that's what's going on now with the assassination attempt on Trump. That's when you get into weird territory. You can basically make up whatever you want. I'll put it this way. I think Trump derangement syndrome certainly exists. People have lost their minds. We have already seen evidence that prominent individuals want Trump to die, and that's terrifying. And lastly, we know that there are people in law enforcement who hate Donald Trump at the highest level in the federal government. These people have stated in previous stories that they fear they have to flee the country if Trump wins. Do you think these people would prefer not to do that? All of these things line up, and it is not a conspiracy theory. It is a simple hypothesis of who has motive and where we begin our investigations. The idea there's anything else beyond that is just speculative nonsense. And so in reality, you can call it divine intervention. You can call it plot armor, perhaps. I don't know. Donald Trump survived. I don't think he faked getting shot in the ear. That's stupid. I don't think he faked the blood or whatever. I think someone in an official capacity hates Donald Trump, and we can call it at the lightest a lehop. But let me tell you, let it happen on purpose. What I'm saying is, I don't want to speculate into conspiracy territory, I want to conclude only based on logic the rudimentary hypothesis. You can argue that there were agents involved in it, that they pre-planned this, that this guy was MK Ultra, whatever it is you want. I'm not going there at all. I don't know. What I can tell you is there's no official story right now. This is a fact. There is no official story. They've not come out and said, after our investigation, we determined that this man was able to secure this for this reason and it was an error. There's no official story right now. The logical conclusion is that there was someone in logistical capacity who was allowing this to happen, which then brings us back to how do you get lucky on making this massive short? Perhaps this was all just one big accident too. A whole lot of accidents keep happening, don't they? Well, this will likely rally Donald Trump's base. As Frank once said, 1 to 2 points. We are likely looking at a major victory for Donald Trump in November, but more importantly, down ballot and at the local level. And I hope that's the case. You know, I was thinking to myself the other day, if it were a conspiracy to take out Donald Trump, there's just like Hillary Clinton in a room watching the rally live, and then she sees Trump grab his ear and fall down, and she sits up, and then Trump stands up and raises his fist, and she goes, "No! No!" I just think that's funny. Not that I think that actually happened. Calm down, YouTube. I think that would be a really funny bit, though. It's like she's sitting there sipping her tea and like watching the rally live with a smirk on her face. Nah! Like they failed again. They can't stop this man. Yeah, I don't know. Plot armor. Donald Trump's the main character, so he can't be stopped. If that were the case, man, I have no idea. But again, the only thing that really matters after all of this is not whether or not this company tried to short Trump. That's all. That's all water under the bridge at this point. No, I shouldn't say it like that. That's to imply that we ignore it. No, we should investigate and figure out what really went on. I'm just saying now. They took a shot at. I'm going to say this figuratively because I know Media Matters and the left are going to lose their minds. Wait, does Media Matters even exist anymore? They took a shot at the king and they missed. That's the saying from The Wire. If you take a shot at the king, you can't miss. It's because the king's coming for you. You know what I mean? And I know they're going to be like, Tim's calling Trump the king. It's a figure of speech. Calm down, you lunatic. But you're not. There's no more opportunities. Donald Trump needs to shore up his defenses. He needs to bring Dan Bongino in as a security consultant to do an assessment on all of his security and all that stuff. Donald Trump needs to watch out for the food that he eats. This is the scariest thing. The scariest thing is whatever was supposed to happen on that day, they wanted to show. They wanted people to see. You know what's really interesting is the photo of the bullet you can see behind Trump's head. Someone asked this question. Why was the photographer using a high-speed frame rate that's fast enough to catch a bullet? Because it would have caught that moment. The argument is that these journalists were tipped off. I don't believe that. You got to be careful on this stuff. But it's pretty wild. Some people have said that CNN was broadcasting the rally live. I don't know that that's true. Were they? I don't know. I don't watch CNN, so I wouldn't know. There's some rumors going around that major cable networks were broadcasting Trump's rally live for some reason right before it happened. I don't know that that's true. That doesn't make any sense. And I didn't see that myself. So it's hard for me to say. I couldn't tell you. But my friends, we'll wrap this one up here. And for those that are still watching live, we will read some more super chats, and then we'll come back. We got a couple more segments coming up throughout this next hour that I'll read for you. But smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member. And we're going to be back live tonight with the live show with Mike Lindell at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. So we will we'll wrap up this segment for now. Follow me on X at Timcast, and we'll see you all in the next segment at 4 p.m. All right. My Stream Deck is not working. It's just completely broken, which is super annoying. And you guys bear with me as I try to fix it. I pressed the record button. It didn't work. Yeah, it's just not working at all. Let me see if I can nuke it, and then we'll see if we can fix it. Stream Deck. That's the little device we use to control the scenes and all that stuff, and it's not working. It's not working. Maybe that'll have done it. And then I'll read your super chats after. Well, we'll go to super chats right now. And then what's up next? What's up next? We've got they changed the cover. They changed the cover of Time Magazine. And I know you can believe it because they were talking about getting rid of this photo because it's helping Donald Trump. And Stream Deck is just completely broken. How about that? You gotta love it. Thank you, Stream Deck. Not responding. All right, bear with me for a second. What is going on? That's frustrating. All right, what time do we got? Tyler Bokamp says, is Elon speaking tonight at the RNC? I don't believe he is. All right, I don't know what Stream Deck's doing, so let's read some super chats. Film Flam says, local Pittsburgh PA News, WTAE, reporting snipers reported him on the roof 20 minutes prior. That's before Trump took stage. That is correct. And we also have a statement from the briefing. 10 minutes before he went out, they knew that there was a threat. Man, this is so annoying. Stream Deck. Crash. Does not work. Let me try one more time. I'll just have to press the buttons manually. It's no big deal. I'll just do it manually. We'll just ignore it. All right, let's see what we got. The Matrix has me says, Tim, Google doesn't let me say what I want to, so I'll say this. Everyone needs to focus on their health, and we need leadership that focuses on that. Here, good sir. Mr. Laxative says, Tim, when is the app coming to the Timcast app coming to the Apple Store? When Apple lets us put it there, I guess. We've had it for a while. I don't know what's going on. Nick C says, Trump has unlocked Ultra Instinct Omen. Instinct. Did you see the G Prime 85 meme? Where it's like Trump standing at the podium, and then the shot comes, and he swats it away like that. He whoosh, whips the bullet out of the way. All right, everybody, let's jump to the story, and we'll talk about what's going on with the media. All right, we've got this from Time Magazine. Behind the cover, interview with the photographer of the Trump image. I want to read this story for you, and it's funny. It's funny. I want to read the story for you. I want to show you what Time Magazine was saying about this image of Donald Trump. Evan Vucci. One of the most iconic photos in the history of the world, in the history of humanity, in American history. Can you believe it? Time Magazine posts, the new Time cover, Nancy Gibbs and the tragedy and opportunity of this American moment. Wait, hold on. Look at this. August 5th, 2024. August 5th, 2024. They took this photo off of Time Magazine's cover. These people are evil. This is what evil looks like. The photo that you see of Time Magazine, still on their website. Here's the new cover. The new cover. Did they say why they changed it? Is there a reason? I don't know. Do we have this here? I mean, people are asking why they changed it. What is this? Sad how easily you're swayed to change your cover. This is a historical image. Everyone's asking, why did they change the cover? Because they're evil. Because of this story. Editor at major news outlet tells media to bury iconic photo of Trump after assassination attempt. We talked about this yesterday on the show. They said that the photo helps Donald Trump. And for that reason, we cannot show it. Because Trump will use it to win the election. But hold on. I mean, what? It's a photo taken by a journalist of a thing that happened. But you can't show the American people because it helps Trump. I want to take you back in time, and then we'll read this story. To COVID. Donald Trump was giving daily briefings, and all of the media was carrying it. And then Trump's polling started to increase. So the media announced Trump was a liar, and they were going to stop covering his COVID daily briefings. That's weird. He was a liar, they said. They then went on to lie about everything that he has said. Amazing. These, what's the right word for it? Propagandists know that Donald Trump has the truth on his side. After being shot in the head, surviving, the bullet grazing only his ear, he stood defiant, raised his fist, and said, fight, fight, fight. Evan Vucci got the most iconic photo of the moment and one of the most iconic photos in American history. I wonder what he must be thinking when they decide they will not show anyone the photo you took. This is the truth. The image you are seeing of a defiant Trump with blood on his face. That's the truth. They don't want you to know it. They have acted upon their desire to suspend the truth. Or to try to. Here's the story from Time Magazine. They say Gibbs, a former writer and editor-in-chief at Time, is the director at the Shorenstein Center and the Edward R. Murrow Professor of the Practice of the Press, blah, blah, blah. Look at this image. It's just, they're showing empty stands. They show the American flag hanging, and it's black and white. The site of the Trump campaign rally in Butler, PA on July 13th. Time photo illustration, Evan Vucci, AP. Same guy, different photo. These people are evil, and I hope you never forget it. They don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to know who Trump is. They don't want you to support this man. When you see the actions that he took on that day, you support him. You say that man is strong. So they took the cover away. Do they explain why? A country born by breaking with a king inherits dissent as a birthright. Generation after generation faces its test of conflict management, crafting the Constitution itself. With all of its convictions and compromises, balancing local versus federal power centers, a civil war exposing fissures in democracy's bedrock, and on and on. The battles over rights and responsibilities, suffrage, prohibition, isolation versus intervention, and then the serial upheavals over justice for multiple marginalized groups, black, female, gay, trans. Each era is tasked with not only choosing its fights, but also deciding how to fight them. Our current crisis as division, once again manifests as violence, feels shocking but not sudden. The dread has been deepening for years, a defining quality of this century that began with an election that ended in a tie. As our information streams fill with acid, it eats at grace and trust. Americans have always disagreed, exercised muscles of reasons and passion to press for progress and a vision of the common good that we don't necessarily hold in common. Do we care more about freedom or equality, privacy or security, being a leader in the world or tucked in safely at home with oceans to buffer us? Figuring that out was the heart of the Democratic challenge, but the information technologies allegedly designed to connect the world conspire to dismantle the values that process depends on. Blah, blah, blah. Why the different photo? Where are we at? There's a video of Joe Biden. Where's Donald Trump? According to Pew Research, 8 in 10 Americans think people get different facts depending on where they get their news. 10 out of 10 should think that because it's true. This all but guarantees that crises and conspiracies travel in packs. And that's it. Okay. Interesting assessment. I'm not going to read your whole garbage article. Let's jump to the one where Donald Trump is raising his fist in defiance. Behind the cover, interview with the photographer of the Trump image. Now, this should be interesting. Evan Vucci, who got one of the most iconic photos in American history, says this. Early Saturday evening, a series of photos and videos depicting a shocking moment appeared across our digital screens. The attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania campaign rally. Frame by frame, we saw Trump, 78, first grab his head with an expression of confusion as gunshots rang out. Then photos of Secret Service agents piling on top of Trump behind the podium in front of the crowd of confused onlookers, followed by images of the swift movement of Trump, blanketed by personnel, we get it. One of those photos, taken by Associated Press photojournalist Evan Vucci, was chosen to appear on the cover of Time. The historical significance, the clear composition, the undeniable tension, all appearing in a singular image of an event that stunned the world. Here's what Vucci has to say about this moment. The interview has been slightly edited for clarity. It was Vucci's past experience that prepared him to capture the iconic image, he said. Vucci has been with the AP for almost 21 years, has covered everything from Iraq and Afghanistan wars to the Trump presidency to Super Bowls, to the protests following the death of George Floyd, in which his team was awarded the 2021 Pulitzer Prize for breaking news photography. It was a situation where that vast experience absolutely does prepare you. To have that experience behind you sort of allows you to remain calm. It wasn't the first time I was in that situation, so I was able to keep in my head. I was able to think. I was able to compose pictures. I think all of us were there, and we just stayed in the moment, stayed on the story. In my head, I just kept saying to myself, slow down, compose, compose. Okay, what's going to happen next? What's going on here? What's going on there? Just trying to get every angle on it. And he nailed it. Donald Trump in an amazing position on the moments after the shots were fired. Initially, Vucci was photographing from the back of the photographer buffer in the front of the rally stage with his long lens. As soon as he heard the gunshots, he sprang into action. I knew right away what it was. So my first thing is like, okay, I got to get to the stage. Vucci moved closer with his wide-angle lens and captured pictures while thinking ahead including anticipating what route the Secret Service would take to remove Trump from the situation. As Vucci sprinted to the other side of the stage, Trump started to stand and pump his fist. Vucci ran to the corner of the stairs while Trump and his team were preparing to exit the stage and took the photos that have now been shared widely. You know what's really amazing is that the photo that he got, and there are others. I mean, wow, look at this picture of Trump. This photo that he got, wow. Absolutely incredible. I lost my train of thought. I mean, that's crazy that he got this photograph of Trump and the Secret Service agents, and they wanted it on the cover, and they took it off the cover. Here's a guy who just said, I'm going to get the photos, and here's this one. A campaign rally site for Republican presidential candidate, former President Donald Trump, is empty and littered with debris, and they decided to swap it out. What a disgrace. They're still using his photo. That's the game they're playing. I can totally believe it. I can totally see it. This is the game they play. They told us they were going to do it, and then they did it. The truth is bad for evil people. The truth shall set you free. And these people don't want you to have access to the truth. And so they did exactly what we thought they would do. They pulled the photo from Time magazine. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what happened. But they better have an explanation for this. I'm sure they'll come up with some stupid argument of like, oh, it was chosen prematurely and everyone was a little bit too excited about it, but this is not the way we normally go. Behind the cover. They knew right away they wanted that on the cover of Time magazine. But then some crackpot scumbag, evil, man, evil, came out and said, don't let the American people know what's really going on. I'm sick of it, man. I am sick of these twisted, malevolent people. It's not about liking Donald Trump. It's about that's what happened. That's the picture of what happened. They don't want you to know. Is this photo fake? No. Was it altered in any way? No. So what of it? It's a photo of a guy showing what Trump was doing, raising his fist. So why take it down? Because it helps Trump. Because it's good for Trump. That's it. If the truth can help Trump, the media suppresses it, and you all know it. That's been their game the whole time. Well, there you go. I'm going to wrap this segment a little shorter than normal, but I'll leave it there. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com, click join us to become a member and support our work directly. For those that are still watching live, we'll have super chats for you, and I'll read more of your comments. And we do have another segment coming up. And for everybody else, we'll see you all over at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see y'all then. And we'll wrap that segment up. We'll get some of your more super chats, and then I want to talk about the current polling. Polling is doing pretty dang well for Donald J. Trump, so we're really excited about where we're currently at. I wish Stream Deck would work functionally, but it does not. Thanks, Stream Deck, for always crashing on us as often as you do. And once again, it's still not working. But let's grab some more of your super chats and smash that like button if you have not already. You know what I can do? I don't know. Actually, no, I can't do that. Maybe I can do that. I just got to pull out the USB and put it back in. Maybe that'll work. That seems to be working. That seems to be working. The Stream Deck does not seem to be working. Let's try this. Nope. This thing is fried. Absolutely fried. All right. I'll stop wasting your time talking about our broken equipment and read what you got to say. Walt Whaley says, would you advertise your coffee brand on the back of my taxi cabs? We're a local company in 2 college towns in East Tennessee, Johnson City. I mean, maybe. I'll talk to the Cast Brew team, but I got to be honest, it's so hard to organize that kind of stuff. Like someone will chat and say, hey, here's the thing, I got an idea. And we're like, that could work, but it's just, if it's not in front of us, it's hard to keep our finger on it. Fails R Us says, time is stupid. That issue would have sold like fire. I'd have bought 10. With that photo on it, I would have purchased it and got it vacuum framed and graded and put on the wall. These people are absolutely insane. They seriously abandoned that cover? And have they explained at all like why they did? Maybe they're doing 2 covers? I have no idea. The new cover. Why did they get rid of it? You know what? We'll make our own. We'll make Timcast magazine, and we'll put that photo on the cover. We'll have to pay Evan Vucci, of course, or the AP or whatever. Mark Benioff, owner of Time Magazine, is a major donor to the Democratic Party and its candidates. Yeah, there you go, man. Evil. That's just it. It's evil. They don't want you to know the truth. That's crazy. Mockingbird says, don't be too mad. Nobody reads Time. The photo is already in everybody's phone now. It's true, but it should be in every newsstand. And it's not about whether people read it or not. It's about the principle of truth about what happened. But they don't care about what's true. All right. Vermin Infested says, I didn't like Donald Trump before they made him president. And then I see what they did to him and I started to like him. And now that they've taken extra measures, I have nothing but compassion for this man. I completely agree. 2016, I was like, not interested. And then he started doing stuff. Foreign policy stuff I thought was pretty good. And then they tried destroying his life. And then eventually I was just like, leave this man alone. Like, geez, leave Trump alone. All right. C-Dub says, was just on my slanted roof working and got stung on the lip, heading back with wasp spray. Ooh, stung on the lip. That happened when I was a little kid. When I was like 10 years old, I was rollerblading down the street and a yellow jacket just went right into my lip and my face went, and I was like in the hospital for a day or 2 or something because they were worried I was going to, die because of the swelling. Yeah, it was brutal though. Yeah, me and venomous insects, we don't do too well. Redline says, Fallout is one of the better games I've played, and I always appreciate you referencing it. But have you ever played the Metal Gear Solid games? I think it would be an easy favorite for you. Predicts a lot of what we see now. I played Metal Gear for Nintendo. That's it. Yeah. Didn't play any of the other ones. I played Bionic Commando on Nintendo. That's fun. You're a guy running around and he's got a grappling hook. The controls are a little wacky and the game is weird, but that was a fun game. Let's jump to the next story and talk about Trump's victories. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Hill, Trump leads Biden nationally and in 7 swing states. The data is beginning to drop. And where it matters most, Donald Trump is skyrocketing. They took a shot at the king. I mean that figuratively, not the literal king. Calm down. It's a reference to The Wire. And they missed. And now Donald Trump is skyrocketing in the polls. Many people are already predicting this means Trump cannot lose. Well, I don't know if that's the case. I warn you all, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And everybody who wants to see a Republican victory in November must go out and vote. The biggest ramification for the attack on Trump's life is going to be down ballot, because now we're going to see every single Trump supporter go out and cast their ballot, and they better. I'm looking at you guys. Don't be lazy, because this means Republicans get 230 seats in the House. More, maybe. And this means we can actually pass some legislation and clean up this mess. That would be incredible. We could avert social decay and disorder if we can get a grip on things. The Hill says Emerson College poll sponsored by Democrats for the Next Generation and published Thursday found 46% of registered voters say they support Trump compared to 42% who chose Biden and 12% that are undecided, the pollster noted. However, that Biden support dipped by 2 points since the poll was taken earlier this month, while Trump support stayed the same. Recent polling shows Biden losing support more significantly than Trump, gaining it since the attempted assassination. Now hold on. We're talking about different dates. I want to see a week after the assassination where polling goes. I think we're going to see a major uptick after the fact, starting with results that have tracked today. This is what I want to stress. If a pollster is asking people today, or yesterday, Wednesday and Thursday, these are the days that matter most. The news has traveled. Wednesday is peak news day. Most people have heard the news and seen the photos. I want them asked as of yesterday and today, what do they think of Donald Trump? I think we're going to see a bump. I don't think it'll be too big. I think it'll be a point or two. Some people thought it would be a massive, like his polling would skyrocket. But I think it will absolutely benefit him. The survey was conducted after the attempted assassination of Trump over the weekend, where a gunman took aim at the president, grazing his ear with a bullet. The poll also noted that since March, Trump has gained 1 point in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and 2 points in Arizona, and he lost a point in Michigan. Well, let me pause you right there, old Emerson College. We got this. This is the Emerson polling. Pennsylvania, Trump up 5. Wisconsin, Trump up 5. Michigan, Trump up 3. Arizona, Trump is up 7. Georgia, 6. Nevada, 5. North Carolina, 7. Holy crap, ladies and gentlemen. Let me pull up 270 win, and we'll pull this in. Now, 270 to win, current 2024 map, the road to 270, says Donald Trump has secured 251, likely, to Democrats 226. However, let's plug in Emerson's polling data. Pennsylvania's got him up 5. That's not a toss-up. That's plus 5. That's strong red, plus 5. I mean, all of these are going to... Michigan, we'll call that likely red. Or, we'll call it likely, plus 3. With margin of error, we'll call it likely. I'm sorry, lean. Let's see, we got Wisconsin's 5. That's strong. I mean, 5 points. I guess it's fair to say because of margin of error, we'll call them likely Republican. Not that it matters all that much. Arizona's plus 7. Oh, that's done deal. Done deal right there. Georgia is plus 6. Oh, they've already got Georgia for Trump. Wow. And then you've got Nevada and North Carolina. And those are already for... Oh, Nevada, here we go. 312. As of the polling data right now, 312. Yo, that's nuts. Nothing else matters. Right now, we look at the polling data. We plug it into 270 to win. Donald Trump has 312 votes. CNN said the other day he was looking at 330 based on potential estimates. They're saying New Hampshire is probably going to... It may actually be leaning in this direction. And that's massive. I don't know what else they can do. That's 316. I don't know where they came. I think, they said Virginia was competitive. That's true. It's competitive in Virginia and then Nebraska. This was the assessment from CNN. 330 electoral votes as of right now. Yo, none of this matters. Let me show you this from 538. I'm going to refresh it right now. Who is favored to win the 2024 presidential election? Using polling, economic, and demographic data to explore likely outcomes, they say Biden wins 53 times out of 100. Trump wins 47 times out of 100. You may be saying, my friends, BS, there's no way Joe Biden can win. They're trying to remove him. He's probably not even going to be the nominee. How is it possible? Shadow campaign. But does it matter? They have one scenario where Biden gets 510 electoral votes and one scenario where Trump gets 520. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That'll never happen. They have 4 where there's no winner. Now you may be saying, I don't know if I care about all this 538 prediction nonsense. Nah, that doesn't mean nothing to me. Well, let me tell you this, my friends. If you think you've won, you've lost. Hillary Clinton, oh boy, did she think she won. In 2020, we thought Trump won. If you think you won, you lost. Because that's when people get lazy. And some people have pointed out, like maybe all of these stories about Trump winning and his polls surging are to lull his supporters into a false sense of security, and then they will do nothing, and then come election day, Democrats will surge, and Trump will lose. I don't know. I'm only going to tell you this. If the man can take a bullet for you, you can certainly take the time out to go and vote for him. And for those of you that really mean it, you can knock on doors. You can register voters. You can ask locations that are allowed to carry voter registration forms. You can tell your friends and family and everybody else, you got to go out and vote. If it means anything to you, you can't just sit back and do nothing. One simulated electoral college outcome is 1 dot. And we can see 525 scenarios where Biden wins, 471 where Trump wins, and 4 with no winner. They each get 269. I don't know how you get those numbers, to be completely honest. That doesn't seem to make sense. But let's take a look at the polling data. We're starting to get some polling data in, but I am not satisfied with it. Emerson says that their polling was from the 15th to the 16th. So that means Monday and Tuesday, right? That's not enough time for the news to hit, for people to realize. Now, to be fair, I think most people heard the news to some degree, but you need time to absorb it, to learn the details, and to see the photos. I knew a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I heard what happened. When we were hanging out in Milwaukee, one woman I overheard saying, I don't care about any of that. This is the day it went down. So what I want to see is polling from the 17th and 18th. That's the peak of the news cycle and where it goes from here. I want to see that. You give me that and I'll agree. But take a look at this anyway. Emerson's data from the 15th and 16th has Trump up 4 points. I mean, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. What did I say? Frank Luntz said, the assassination attempt is going to turn Trump supporters into Trump voters, giving him a boost of 1 to 2 points. I completely agree. But I actually think the polling data will increase. And look at that. You've got Reuters Ipsos for the same day with +2. You've got Forbes the 13th to the 15th with +2. And I think that's too close to the news event. Emerson still, I think, is too close, but they have Trump up 4. 4 is massive. Wow. You go back a month and Trump is up 6. His spread right now is 2.5 points ahead. With the margin of error, there is no guarantee. In 2016, Hillary Clinton was up 3.2 in the polls, and she lost. Last time around in 2020, Biden was up 8.8. So y'all better not just sit around. Y'all are going to have to go out and cast that ballot. Otherwise, the polls don't mean anything. If everybody thinks that this is the game, it's game over and Donald Trump wins, then I assure you, Donald Trump will lose. It's a matter of whether or not people will remain focused, will remember. But there is one thing to consider. Donald Trump's scar. Every appearance, every news report, Trump should make sure that everyone can see it every single time. If he's got a scar on his ear that's plainly visible, and he likely will, whenever he does an interview, he should always tell them, I want the camera on this side. When I did the interview with Trump, they actually laid out how they want the... so we have these curtains right next to me. And they basically said, we like the curtains. We want to put some American flags up. And then we'll have Trump sit here and you'll sit here. So your camera is pointed at the right side of his face. And we're like, yeah, that's totally normal with interviews with people. They say, like, we want the person to look good on camera. We don't want a bad camera angle. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And they came in and they were looking at the cameras. I framed some of it. They looked at it and they were like, this looks pretty good. And we're all just trying to make sure everyone looks like it's lit properly and things like that. I imagine from now on, Trump's team is always going to be like, we want the camera pointed at the right side of his face. Because if everybody, every time they see him speak, sees that scar, they will be reminded of what that was. So we'll see. We will see if Donald Trump is able to pull through, if the polls skyrocket. But so far, it's looking like the betting markets and the polls are skyrocketing. So I'm going to wrap this one up. We'll keep this one a little bit short. Thanks for hanging out with the segment. We've got a little bit more. I'll read some more super chats for you guys. For everybody else, youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Tonight at 8 p.m. live show with Mike Lindell. Should be a lot of fun. So we hope to see you there. And for those that are still watching, I'll grab some of your super chats. And everyone else, we'll see y'all next time. All right, we'll grab some super chats. I may pull this one early because the record button didn't work, so I have to edit now. Heavens help me. Here we go. What is this? What is it? Peas and Butter says Timcast should wear an ear patch in solidarity. I am not going to do that. Coldwater says, Tim, if you are free speech, unshadow ban me on Timcast IRL. If you are shadow banned on Timcast IRL, it's because you are a spammer. That is the only reason I would do it. And it's the only actual rule we have. So the way I usually do it is if I notice you're spamming, which means you've posted the same message with a ton of emojis or text a few times, when I can see it in the chat and I see like 3 posts, I will then wait to see if you spam 3 more times and then you are nuked from chat. Because spamming isn't free speech. It is actually obstructing people's free speech. And so I am not going to be going into any lists of users and unbanning anybody because that's it. If we're doing the show and someone is spamming and they're posting the same thing over and over and over again, you are nuked. Shadow ban. You can't post anymore. It is not fair to everybody else that you're bloating up the chat with garbled nonsense. And so it really is about spamming. If it's like a single sentence where you say, Donald Trump needs to do X, and it's a small, and you say it several times, I don't care about that. I'm talking about people who put like fire, 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 and then write, it's time to do X, Y, and Z in all bold caps, and then 50 fire emojis, so it takes up 15% of the screen, and then they do it every 6 seconds, which is the amount of time to wait. Then I'm just like, you're out. You're not having a conversation. You're not addressing anything. You're not talking to people. You're just trying to block other people's ability to speak to get attention for yourself. So no dice. But I can't speak to the individual because there are other people who have access to shadow banning accounts on the channel. But typically the only rule is do not spam. All right. We'll grab a couple super chats here. Saint Senpai says, if the SS photoed the bad guy hours beforehand, how possible was it that facial recognition was used and perhaps scoured his social media? Why no manifesto? No idea. Doesn't really add up, does it? Anthony Sear says, if Donald Trump can, through his amazing charisma and physical courage, lead to a chain of marginally good presidents, would that not make him the greatest American president? Indeed, it would. If he can fix these things, we have the corruption, and then the election system is fixed and we get good presidents afterwards, then he would be the man who saved this country. All right. Gitch says, been thinking about upgrading some of these people to having Trump derangement psychosis. That's right. And then someone posted in chat a bunch of fire emojis and MAGA. Yeah, I don't really care. But if you do it nonstop like 10 times, then you get shadow banned. That's how it works. Mafia Mike says Timcast Discord is where it's at. That's where it is at. You got to become a member at timcast.com to support our work directly. I'm just going to grab one more super chat. And then I've got to solve this broken Stream Deck problem. Anthony says, it's only a matter of time until Time Magazine becomes irrelevant. In my city of 50K people, the post office only delivers about 100 copies. It already is insignificant. It's just a matter of principle. Okay? Everybody should show the photo because the photo is the truth and it's iconic. For a magazine with any amount of viewership to say we won't show it, evil. All right, my friends, I'm going to wrap things up here. A little bit earlier than I did throughout the earlier in the week, about 20 minutes earlier, but it's because the record button didn't work, so I have to go and edit and get some of these clips uploaded and fix my Stream Deck. But we'll wrap it up. And thank you all so much for hanging out. Smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com. Click Join Us to become a member and support our work directly tonight. I think we may have only a couple tickets left. They're probably going to sell right away. It's day of. I got 85 chairs in front of me, my friends, and we're going to be hanging out with Mike Lindell, Luke Rudkowski, Libby Emmons, Hannah Claire Brimolo, Taylor Hansen, and we're going to talk about what's going on with the RNC, with Donald Trump. We'll hear from Mike Lindell himself, which will be a whole lot of fun. Shout out to MyPillow for sponsoring last night's show. And for all of you who are fans and support us as members, you're making all this possible, so thank you all so much for being members. You can also buy Cast Brew coffee at castbrew.com. And I'll wrap it up there. We'll see y'all next time.